Rise and grind. The best bourbons for a stressful day. Let's get into the list. So you are rising and grinding. You're dealing with coworkers. You're dealing with employees. You're dealing with traffic. You're dealing with the news on the media. You are dealing with children, wives, neighbors. You are dealing with all the stress of life. And sometimes at the end of a long day, you just want a good bourbon to enjoy. And so we've got a couple bourbons here for you. These are bourbons that are high proof. These are bourbons that are flavorful. And these are bourbons that are affordable. For a midweek pour, dealing with stress, you don't want something that's smooth. You want something that's going to work, something that's high proof, and something that you can just have one glass of it and that's going to do the job. The first bourbon that we have for you is Old Forester 1920. Now this is 115 proof. This is high proof, but it's also very flavorful. This has notes of dark chocolate that's mixed with caramel. If you've been chasing after Old Forester's birthday bourbon, then this is what I call the poor man's birthday bourbon. This is in fact even made in the same rick house. This is a great value. This is one of the best bourbons that you can find. Old Forester 1920. Of course, you're gonna get that Old Forester banana note, but that just adds to the flavor and to the complexity of this. This is a high proof bourbon that will help you on those stressful days. Old Forester 1920. Next bourbon on our list is 1792 Full Proof. Now, what full proof means, when bourbon is barreled, it goes in at usually at about 125 proof. Over time, as the bourbon is aging, there is evaporation. There becomes less liquid and the alcohol content increases. And so usually the bourbon may go from being at entry into the barrel 125 proof, but with evaporation, with what's called angel's share, it may go up to about 7 proofs higher. Now, when it's time to bottle that bourbon, usually the distiller is going to add some water to bring it back down to what it was when it went into the barrel. And so that is called the full proof. The proof at which the bourbon went into the barrel. That is called the full proof. Now, if the distiller decides to leave it at the proof that it is and not add any water, then that's called barrel proof or cask strength or barrel strength. Now, a lot of times the distiller may add so much water that it's going to take it all the way down to 100 proof. That's what's needed for bottle and bond. Or the distiller may take it all the way down to 92 proof, or even as low as 80 proof. And so Basil Hayden is an 80 proof bourbon. In order to be bourbon, it has to be at least 80 proof. But back to this. This is 1792, not the small batch, not the bottle and bond, not the single barrel, not the sweet wheat, but this is the full proof. And so this is 125 proof. So this is a beast. But although it's so high proof, it does drink a little bit lower than the proof suggests. With this, you're gonna get notes of cinnamon and raisin. This is a great stress buster. This will be great for one of those stressful days at the office. 1792 Foolproof. The next bourbon on our list is 2XO. Now, this is the first bourbon by this new company. This is the Phoenix Blend. Now, this company, it's Dixon Dedman. Dixon Dedman was the founder of Kentucky Owl. Kentucky Owl was one of my favorite ryes. He was one of the founders of it. The master distillers, the Carters, left Kentucky Owl and they started Old Carter. But Dixon Dedman stayed for as long as he could, but he has since left that company and started another company, which is now 2XO. And so what are you going to get in this? From the guy who started Kentucky Owl, who was popular because of their rye. In this, you have some high rye blends. This is double oat bourbon. And so you got that high rye, that spiciness, but you also have notes of apricot and brown sugar. This leaves you with an amazing mouthfeel. This is 104 proof. And so this is a high proof bourbon. This is probably the most expensive bourbon on our list. The 1920 goes for about $60. The 1792 for about $50. This goes for about $100. But for those days, when you want something that's high proof, but yet flavorful, this would be a great choice. 2XO, the Phoenix Blend. And the last bourbon on our list is Old Grandad 114. This is for those days where you aren't looking for flavor, you aren't looking for anything fancy, you aren't looking for anything expensive. You just want a pour. You've been stuck in traffic. Your boss went off on you. The kids aren't listening. And you just want something to end the night. Old Grandad 114. This is notes of caramel and pepper. This at times can have more proof than flavor. But when it's time to deal with your stressful day, the stress buster, Old Grandad 114. This is the cheapest bourbon on the list. This comes in at about $35. Old Grandad, the stress buster. We have shared with you 4 great bourbons to help you on those stressful days. If we have helped you, and if our content is helping you, don't just keep watching, but help us. Hit like, subscribe, leave a comment about what bourbons you drink on stressful days. And if you like this video, check out the video that we did, the best bourbons for 2023. Today, for our conversation, I want to talk about discipline. Discipline. You got to be disciplined mentally. You got to be disciplined financially. You've got to be disciplined physically. But in order to get to that next level, you've got to have discipline. What is discipline? Discipline is when you are on travel and you know that you're married. Discipline is when you are sitting in the lounge and you are being approached by the ladies. Discipline is when that coworker who knows that you are married keeps making passes at you. In order to get to that next level, you have got to have discipline. Chris Rock said that a man is limited to his options. When you start rising and grinding, you're gonna have more options. Women want a successful man. And so when they see you on your purpose, when they see you doing your work, that is very attractive to them. But if you allow it, you can ruin everything that you've worked for. How often do we turn on the TV and we find out about the coach who slept with a staff member? We find out about the senator who slept with an aide. We find out about the president who slept with the wrong person. These men had no discipline. You are rising and grinding, and it feels good. Women are gonna throw themselves at you, but you've gotta be above it. You've gotta have some discipline. You gotta turn it down. You've gotta walk away. You've gotta say no, because it's only going to ruin everything that you've been working for. Stay committed and keep some discipline. Rise and grind.